The Face Thief, aka Kaugotusuru, made its first and very sadly only appearance in Iron Man Annual 14, published in 1993. The story, titled Unfamiliar Faces, was written by Kaminski and penciled by Tom Morgan. It opens with millionaire Creighton McCall admiring the latest addition to his collection of antiques, a Japanese mask hailing from the 16th century. Creighton accidentally cuts himself on the sharp edges of the mask and drops it, breaking it. Ironically, it falls right on a bunch of family photographs on Creighton's desk. Some symbolism there. Anyway, as the mask breaks, an entity entrapped within it is released. This is Kaugotusuru, aka the Face Thief, an ancient demon known as a Shinma. The demon proceeds to attack Creighton, brutally killing him. At that very moment, the millionaire's son-in-law walks into the room, and as a result is murdered by the monster too. Kau then rips off the face of Creighton's corpse and places it onto his own. He thus assumes the identity of the millionaire, becoming a perfect imitation of him. This is the way the entity operates. It kills people of influence, steals their faces and identities, then uses their power to basically mess shit up in the world. For no real reason, just for fun. Anyway, the Masters of Silence, a band of mystic Japanese warriors sworn to fight all Shinma, immediately become aware of Kau's presence on Earth. They thus set out for America and contacts Tony Stark, a man they've had a previous encounter with. The Masters of Silence knows that Kau will take the identity of someone important, as it always does, although they don't know who yet. But they figure with Tony's social standing, he'll be able to find him a suitable suspect. That he does, when he discovers the recent violent and unexplained death of Creighton McCall's son-in-law. We also learn that Tony actually has history with the McCalls, as Creighton was his father's main business rival. Tony also used to date Creighton's daughter, Meredith. That is until their fathers forbade them from ever seeing each other. This isn't something the story made up, as the whole McCall affair was already referenced back in the early Bronze Age. So, nice callback. Anyway, after paying a visit to Meredith during her husband's funeral and confirming that Creighton is in fact the Face Thief, Iron Man and the Masters of Silence storm the McCall mansion. A massive battle ensues, as Iron Man deals with Creighton's heavy security force and the Mystic Trio deals with the demon itself. During this battle, one of the Japanese warriors dies. In the end, the heroes manage to fend off the monster, although they fail to actually destroy it. It escapes into a different dimension, vowing to return and kick Tony's butt someday. Meredith was made witness to the entire fight. In fact, she even briefly joined in. Learning the truth about her husband's death, as well as the fact her father was dead too, she had nothing left to live for. Thus, Meredith joined the Masters of Silence, replacing their fallen comrade. That's how the group works. Whenever one dies, they are replaced by someone new, also fueled by vengeance and loss. Another story in the same issue explains further information about the Face Thief as well as the Masters of Silence. They've been around for centuries, battling each other. The first time Kau came to Earth, he took the identity of a powerful Japanese warlord in feudal Japan. In the guise of this warlord, he commanded all of his samurai to attack the Emperor in a meaningless battle. All of his men died, but 3. These 3 then discovered the true nature of their commander, and it was they who became the first Masters of Silence. At some point, they managed to imprison the demon within a mask, and we all know how that turned out. Despite promising he'd return, the Face Thief never made a single appearance outside of this one issue. I haven't read too many Iron Man comics, but out of the ones I have read, I'd say this one is my favorite. This was just a really badass story, and the concept of the Face Thief is just awesome. What a bizarre and freaky villain. It's like something out of a horror movie, not an Iron Man comic. This is also the right way to pair up a hero and villain who doesn't really fit together. Iron Man, being a science fiction character, obviously fit fighting against science fiction themed villains, and that is what he usually does. But Kau here is a supernatural demon, a character based in magic, the exact opposite of the rational Tony Stark. Instead of ignoring this mismatch, the story calls great attention to it. In fact, it's the entire point of the comic. Iron Man wasn't really the right man to go to with this problem, but the Masters of Silence had no other choice, as no one knows high society in the Marvel Universe like he does. Iron Man himself is very well aware of his inexperience with these matters, and states numerous times in the story just how much he hates magic. He hates it simply because he doesn't understand it. It's not his thing. He's not Doctor Strange after all. Magic has no respect for the laws of physics, as Tony puts it, which is true, and obviously very frustrating for this man of science. So, for every time I complain about a villain who just does not fit in the rogues gallery he's put, there is actually a way you can pull it off. And here it's done just beautifully. I think the Face Thief really should have continued to appear. He was a perfect villain for Iron Man, in the sense that it was a perfectly wrong villain for him. And the character itself is really cool too. A demon who rips people's faces off and then takes their identity. It's got an interesting design too, a sort of tiger with a black and white zebra pattern. Cow has many faces though, so that's just one of its appearances, although it does seem to be its default look. Anyway, if you want to read an absolutely badass comic, then I highly recommend Iron Man Annual 14. And as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.